It's a pleasure to be here today and to have distinguished panel members with me. The topic that is how do we bridge skill gap, and the issue is very kind of a pertinent one with technology coming into effect and the changes that are taking place globally at the and the economy what it's going through. So I would like to ask, and this question probably is before we go into just to kind of get into the context. If you would like to make any opening remarks on what you kind of feel about what changes that you are seeing, and then we will move into the questions, the segments of it. So both of you can. Ladies first. You can have this one. Okay.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. See, as we see, things are getting changed every day as far as the technology is concerned in any field. You talk about manufacturing, you talk about EPC, you talk about solar industry, you talk about any industry, including infrastructure, manufacturing, construction as well. The technology is being used very aptly for better productivity and better construction speed of happening in the overall scheme of things. So what we really are facing difficulties, like in the morning someone was saying, we have no jobs for people in the market, but the skill levels are not there as we want in the industry. Okay, so challenge is that how do we bridge the gap? I think that is what we will be talking about today, moving forward.
Yeah, you and then I can.
Yeah, I guess I'll just add on to that. One very important element is the fear. I'm not too sure every forum that I have been, there's a fear whether AI will replace human. I work for an IT and AI company, and I guess in the previous session it was very rightly said that AI cannot. AI can only enable us, and every the data that goes into the AI, that's our responsibility. That has to be very unbiased, has to be very relevant, and that learning and the teaching of AI is very important. Those are the certain gaps, and I guess if the fear can be eradicated, I don't think so. World will change far better. Typewriter came, a typewriter kind of vanished with the laptops. Touchscreens are there. BlackBerry is vanished, but we are only evolving every day. So it's important that we evolve, we upskill our people every day without a monotonous learning TNI, which we call training need identification. That we just make it. And we don't see that skill gap of our employee and the world changing. So I guess that's in brief I can say, and then I'll be happy to answer the questions. Go ahead.
I have one question since you mentioned about the TNI part of it. How do organizations or what you are doing to identify them early so that we are able to kind of proactively address the issue, the gaps that come, and how do we navigate around that?
So one thing I would say, a couple of years I have been trying specifically. I have a 22 years experience and I've worked in various industry. IT was something very different for me. So we started with psychometrics. Now psychometric changes every year. I hope everyone knows that. It's not a sacrosanct thing that you do it this year, it changes every year. So that has really helped bridging the gaps. So in terms of the learning TNI which we talk about, we need to be very customized with each skill. And once you do the psychometric, you get to know a lot of things apart from the skill, because everyone can learn how to do a coding, but everyone cannot be a manager. There can be certain SME roles. There can be roles where you just need time alone for the coding part of it, for the R&D part of it. So I guess one interesting element that is really helping, that's a customized psychometric. I'm not just talking about the kind of psychometrics that are available where you just go for a 10 minutes test. You need to really sit with your people. You need to do a skill mapping of your organization. Basis that, customize that psychometric, where my people are, what are the industry gap, what's happening, whether it's full of C++, Java or OpenStack, which is the skill which is in demand, where is the gap of our organization, and then try fill that up.
It brings me to a question that, in fact, you and both of you can kind of share your thoughts on this. We have always seen this conflict between how much time business will really be able to spare for any skilling up or any intervention. There is also this issue of level of awareness and aspirations that people have in terms of what they would ideally want. She mentioned about, if not everybody can become manager. So are you doing something around that which is specific to kind of help people, business understand, and the people, employees also, to understand that this is something that is important? Yeah.
See, I will give an example of when I used to work with Emirates Aluminium in Abu Dhabi. Okay, in UAE, all the nationals want to become the managers, bosses. Next day, they join the organization. Okay, that is their wish. They may not have the skill, but the challenge, because Emirates Aluminium was also a government organization, semi-government organization, building large. It's the world's largest aluminium smelter, which is there in Abu Dhabi. The challenge was, now how do we meet the aspiration of these guys? Because they have come in, they want to become managers next day, but in all the key managerial position, we had expats from various countries who were sitting in this place, because they were the skilled people available in the overall market. We had 37 nationalities. We had hired the best talent from the market. Now, how do we make them train under these people, so that the challenge is, one, the expats will feel uncomfortable that if I train him too fast, my job will be at stake. That is one part of it. The second part of it, this man is not ready to pick up everything. Okay. He says, give me a test, I will pass. So he knows, he's sat with the boss and understood what the test is going to be, and he is sure that he'll pass through, and I want to be the boss. Now the challenge is, both are equally important for us. We need the manager as well, because he knows the technology for last so many years. He's been in the industry. And how do we retain these guys as well? So we had to make a scheme of about going through this process for about 2 years, giving them classroom session. They may be out of their regular work, give them everyday classroom session, make them ready for it. And that is how we were able to make them. Still, some of the nationals left us because they felt this is too cumbersome to study. They were all graduates at best. Okay, so they felt this is too much engineering for us to do, and I can't take this, and I don't want to become. So that's the gap which we had to fill, and that's how slowly that's also a part of it. Apart from that, there is also a nationalization target in Middle East. Okay, we need to fill this, because being a semi-government company, we had stringent targets. We could not employ other people unless the skills are very different. So we need to train. We used to pick people from 9th standard and give scholarship for them, because nationals were not available. So what do? So we bring them in summer to the factory, train them for 2 months. Again, they go to their class. Once they finish that, all the education cost is taken care by the company. Once they finish their 10th standard, we bring them back to us. So these were some of the skills activities which we had done.
You want to add anything?
No, I guess I would just copy paste of a lot of things that you rightly said. And yes, it is not a one-day job. It has to be. And I feel review dashboards are very important with, again, AI coming. If you can have weekly transparency, because what happens is that nowadays I see there's a lot of transparency when it comes to being a manager and promotions. But if you have those data flashes every day, leader-wise, business head-wise, function-wise, this is how your productivity, your efficiency of your team, your people are moving vis-a-vis as a manager. It gives the entire organization a sense of pride, a sense of confidence that the way people are getting evaluated are on a very fair platform. Yeah.
I just wanted to know, you are from an IT organization, so you have a distributed workforce, and how do you kind of make sure that people from different locations are catered to, because sometimes some of the locations are smaller and it is very difficult to bring them on board. So are you using any different kind of a model to kind of impart learning so that there is a uniformity in that entire exercise?
So we have our standard LMS, which is spread across all the locations. So we are there in internationally 2 places.
So all the e-learning people, this is a business opportunity. I asked this question on your behalf.
No, but I would really say that it plays far better role than making an Excel sheets or making your own databases. And I'm very, very happy. Past 2 years, I guess this is something I've established. And with Udemy and the platform that we're using for our learning, it makes the learning very unified across the region. And you don't need to be region specific. And I guess the learning platforms are coming with the flexibility of languages as well now. Though I'm not in a blue collar setup, it's a white collar. So English is a language which everyone understands. So I I feel that really gives you all the edge and all the benefits.
Now I've got a question, I think, where you started from, that how does artificial intelligence and other technologies going to play a role in making learning more efficient, more distributed, given the fact that India is a country with a huge diversity and creating opportunities for every segment of the society is very important. So anything specific from your side, or both of you can answer this.
See, I will not directly get into AI at this point in time. Okay, I will give an example of in an EPC environment, because in transmission, distribution, tower setup, you must be seeing the large towers which are erected across the road everywhere. It used to be a manual system for donkey's years. Okay, there is nothing people used to get there. It's a purely manual. Last couple of years, people have tried and gone into helicopter laying of the transmission tower. The helicopter lifts the transmission tower and fixes it there. Thereby the speed increases, cost also get reduced, because time for constructing one tower used to be 7 to 8 days. With this we are able to do it in about 4 hours time. But the only challenge there is this helicopter operator need to be very skilled, because if it drops it down, the whole tower gets damaged. So this is something which is technology driven, not directly in the confrontation formula of AI, but this is what construction companies are utilizing the technology to make faster, speeder methods of working.
Yeah, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I'll talk from the people's angle. I guess AI is really helping in learning, because now you have customized chatbots. So there is one issue you have while making a project, and that problem isn't identified. So instead of, I used to, I'm sure all the HRs, they had a lot of issues because you don't get a big L&D team. You get a very, very small L&D team. Currently mine is like 3 people, and I'm catering to almost 4,000. Yeah, three as in
big.
3, yeah, 3 is big, yeah, but the number for 4,500, we generally have 150, employees pay 1 HRBP. So that way L&D is all the time very, very, small as a team. But today when I have, platforms where we have chatbots, we have live cases uploaded, so I can literally communicate with the AI and have my own issues solved with the AI, because that's the kind of, we called it Chanakya, that's how we have named it. And it's very nice that my entire employee base, because we get those matrix and everyone is interacting and solving their own issue on their own, because the data is fed, the problem statements have gone, all those mistakes which others have made, it's part of our database. So they just interact and solve it. So I'm really, that is really helping me out, for my people at least, via AI.
Anything you want to add?
No, while we are designing the system for technology, for training or skill upgradation, I think organization first needs to see what's happening outside their boundary of working, because technology may be happening around outside, and as a company we may just keep our eyes closed. That's what happened to Nokias and Javas of the world. We need to also see what's happening and then prepare for it, and to upskill our own people. What is the gap? Identify where we are today in our own team. We may be masters in our own group way of working, the technology, manufacturing, number one, everything. But if technology is changing and we are not there, then we will be completely out of system. I can give you an example for that also. In our own country, I used to work for RPG Cables long time back. We used to jelly-fill telephone cables, best in the country, blah, 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 everything. Suddenly optical fiber came, and then jelly-filled cable was off. So we had to fill optical fibers. So we started manufacturing optical fibers. Then the satellite came, then optical fibers become redundant. So we need to be understanding very clearly what's happening as far as technology in the market, and then train our people to meet the requirements.
I would now like to ask one question, which is very kind of HR is debating all around, is that how does managers create a learning culture? Because you pointed out that HR can, it is a limited size, limited bandwidth, and at the end of the day, not all employees report into HR directly, where they come under their span of influence. So the managers play a very vital role. So what is it that managers should be doing? What is the ask from HR to the managers or business to be able to do?
It's very important. Like I said, it's not a one-day job. Fine. So when you train a manager on a holistic way, which starts from revenue generation to productivity, quality of work, vertical-wise performance. Because the minute you start talking, we all are in business. Fine. So the minute you start linking the revenue part of it, the efficiency, productivity part of it, the KRAs are very important elements. So you need to define them, and then you need to have that healthy competition between the managers, so they understand where are they going, and review along with the manager with their problem is very important nowadays. What happens is that there is a issue we receive for a manager by the team, and we start reacting it at the same time that particular manager is also handling. So it's both way communication. From an HR, we always train the team as well when there's a new manager coming in, that please give that person some time to adjust, to unlearn and relearn. At the same time, we give the manager the same kind of training. So training for managers are very important on all the element. It has to be people element. Like I said, that psychometric again plays a major role, because if your behavioral pattern is showing that you're not a people person, then that's a very important element while you are promoting a person for a team role. That should be taken care. And it has to be an ear-on interventions with multiple ways to tell the manager and deal with it before it damages the team.
Very good. So you want to add anything on this?
See, the manager is an important link in our upgradation of any skills in the overall scheme of things. So it is important that we involve them right before, as far as the technology is concerned. When we are preparing the annual business plan for the organization, if there is any technological change going to happen, or if there is any upskill which other competitors are doing which we are left behind, I think we need to bring it out in the annual process of planning, and then give that first input to the managers, because unless they buy in, we will not be able to go forward in the organization. So buying from the managers is also important. So training them first, and then they infer back to so we make some train the trainer kind of a program, if it is technology or if it is human related skills, and then they take it to the forward, because HR cannot be driving everything. We don't, as she said, the level of people what we have. So we need to involve our managers, and they need to buy. They need to be our ears and eyes in the shop floor, which will help us to move forward.
I also wanted to ask one more question, that sometimes it is perceived that learning and development or capability building is primarily getting focused on to the top talent segment, and people who we want to kind of feel that they have high pose, or the segments that the organization has identified. Primarily, some of the studies shows that around 70 to 80% of the employees actually are left out of any meaningful learning intervention, or if we look at it, the number of hours probably is less. So anything that you feel that now needs to be changed to make it much more all pervasive kind of a thing? Any one of you who want to?
I think that is why our attrition rates are very high. In simple words, because we are saying employees first, everybody needs to be treated equally, and if you start doing top 20 cream people only, you rave the list. You can give them additional inputs because you are developing them for leadership. That's fine, but doesn't mean that you ignore the rest of the 80% of the people. If you do that, I think then they're left with no choice but to go out. What is the choice for them? They can't be doing the same work. If you ask me to do the same work every day, I will not do. How do we expect them to do the work?
Okay, so I will have completely opposite, not the version. I totally agree that in last almost 10 years that whichever organization I have been, and I'm very proud to say that currently the organization I come from, that to an IT, is 4% attrition. The reason is that we really have multiple channels where because if you just talk about even the concept of bell curve, which is very simple, 10 to 20% are your top performer, and 50 to 60%, or to a lot extent 70% are your average performer, who are the good guys, who are meeting their targets. So if we don't, so there are interventions like R01 we have, where we are targeting all these larger segment in terms of the skill upgradation, in terms of how to, because everyone cannot be vertically moved. Horizontally there can be moved. There are roles that my engineering team is giving for sales, because if they can understand, they can make the product, they can sell it better. So what you need to train them? You need to train them with language, the communication, because they maybe lack in that. Multiple roles. There are people from engineering have come to HR, from engineering have gone to learning, because again it's a technical world altogether. So yes, it's important that you need to have multiple channels, and I guess whenever and annually you have your database coming with regards to the rating, you know that how many people have not moved since 4 years. So there are multiple data points which HR has the custody, and if we need to just act on it. And at least I've seen a couple of my other colleagues in the world of HR, and they are doing a very similar work, and that's the only way you can retain, because money has no limit in today's world. Fine, people can get 500% hikes as well. But the only thing is the culture, the background, and the commitment, that what is the career trajectory you're showing in your current organization.
Do you think that, I have been traveling both in India and abroad and worked in both the places. I see that probably we are far kind of away from a very meaningful engagement with the government, academic bodies, and industry to say. And when I say about industry, I'm saying about, I come from the logistics sector. And sometimes back we had this conference in Bombay where the CEO of the Skill Council had come. And he told that there are around 3,000 crore government has set aside for the logistics sector for skill development. And yet that is money is not getting utilized because of a number of factors. Do you think that this is an issue right now that, we have not been able to put our act together on that?
Yeah, major one, I would say. Not just government, I guess the entire education is delinked with
from
corporate.
An institute, so this would
Okay.
be particularly interest to her.
Yeah. So I would completely agree. And like I said, from an HR standpoint, it's our responsibility equally. So again, I will give a couple of examples. It is not just IT, the organization I work with, we are completely into national securities. So we are very particular about our hiring. So I'm not too sure how many of you are aware, but there is an entire institute for national forensic. Fine, and the kids are not getting placed. So what we have done last year, that we are now going to hire only from there, because that's what the education, that's what the skill we need. So I need you need to be particular. You come from logistics. I was with Flipkart earlier. There we had tie-up with institutes which are only helping in terms of supply chain activities, where yes, we need to take one step forward, and government needs to take two steps ahead, I would say. But corporates and everyone is pretty now educated, and they really want to really handshake with the government, because end of the day, it's our youth which is getting suffered. So it's better that and it's high time that we evaluate as an HR from the industry standpoint, that what are those technicals, what are those areas, what are those universities which are relevant for the organization, not just going from an IM or an IT and just hiring blindly.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you want to say something.
See, I, as a HR leader, I think we need to spend time with the institutions as well. Okay, we expect them to provide us the resources, what we want in the industry. But I don't think we give them back so much time so that they can develop what they want, what we want with their students as well. I think that gap needs to be addressed fast. Unless that is done, the skill development program of the government and everything will be just in paper, because industry will then say that institute students have tried first year, not okay. The CEO will tell, why don't waste time going there? And then it will be only restricted to 1 or 2 colleges, and the fund will never be utilized. I think first we need to spend time with the institution, develop a curriculum or develop certain things what we in the industry want. It cannot be specific to one industry. It can be a trade like pharma, transmission, construction, manufacturing, steel. It can be in these bodies which are there, which can go to the institutions and then provide. Unless that is provided, I think we will be going round in circles. Institute says we are spending so much time. College, company says no, this is not what we want, and this gap. This is where I think we as leaders in HR need to spend time and give that to the college institutions as well.
I'll just add on one thing here, that one of the another initiative that we have done while the placement, I was just talking to someone here for the placement, because the placement time comes in. What we are doing it, we are giving all our placement, whoever we are getting tied up, our problem statements of the organizations where we are stuck. So the kids are doing projects on those problem statements only, and the minute they have a solve, we are doing internships as well and guiding them. Because I, as a student, I remember I don't link anything that I've studied in my education vis-a-vis what I do, include barring certain principles of Kotler or Maslow hierarchical need. That's it. These are two things I can still remember. Rest is eradicated. So I guess instead of kids just doing the bookish thing which was once upon a time made by someone who's not even relevant now, it's better that we help them with the academics part of it, to what to study, what are those things which will help you while you work in an organization.
I wanted to know, though, kind of, how much is it really a problem that the business actually is trying to seek too much of customization from the academic institutions? Is that a good trend? Because when I travel to other countries, and I'll give a specific example, I went to Singapore Social Sciences University and Singapore Technology College. And what I saw is a very distinctively different model approach, where these universities are not only working for placement, but they are also working, their faculties are very deeply involved in some of the projects that the companies are running for building growth models and all. So it's a different level of engagement. Whereas in India, when I interact with people, what I get to hear is, something very specific and niche to that particular organization that the institute should be able to bring onto the table. How do you see this trend?
So I guess, let me correct myself if you understood me wrong. I am not talking about customization, the university.
No,
I'm talking about navigating.
So, not in reference to your question, but I'm talking in general about the concept.
So I don't think so corporates or organizations are looking for customization of your education curriculum. We're just trying to guide you that this is what you've studied and this is how you can implement. Because implementation is a gap that comes once you come into the organization. This is kind of what I'm talking about. But I totally agree. There can be certain niche demands of certain sectors. Like I have worked in pharma, and yes, for certain R&D, you need certain niche. Sir has I've worked in EPC as well. Yes, there are a lot of specific things in EPC which cannot happen individually. It's not a generic thing. So likewise.
The last question that, I don't know whether you have heard this or not. Has the CEO asked you that what is the ROI of all this?
Okay, so let me flip it. I guess today the HR has completely changed. We are asking the CEO, what is the ROI when you get me a position and when you change the structure of the organization? So I would proudly say that I'm always the one, and my CEO is really having troubles when he's having any kind of discussion, because he comes to always say that she will always have the number in the mind. So even if I have to add a sales guy at a senior level or a junior level, she has to tell me that how this will be budgeted, how will I get the ROI, how do I get the productivity, and what's my planned addition to the IPO that we have planned. So this is how HR has changed. So CEO don't ask now. It's the HR.
So what about you? The CEO is not asking, or is he still asking?
He will be asking. There's no doubt about it. That's part of our role. If we are confident in answering, giving him the numbers, we need to have benchmarks as well. Not just our numbers is not sufficient when we talk about ROI. It's important that we have benchmarks, what other competitors are having, not only in India but across the world, the best in the world. Then he will be convinced that you are doing your job, what is expected out of you. If he says, sir, I'll come back to you, I think then we have lost the battle in the first phase itself.
Very nicely put. I'll now make the closing comment on the ROI. And around 10 years back, I realized that, there is something missing in terms of engagement, in terms of what people are bringing onto the table in the organization. And that's when the first thought came for me to do my PhD. And I took almost 2 years to find out a guide, because my topic is, how does team sports help in building productivity at work? And last 2 years, 24, I did a survey, close to 5,000 people across India, mid and senior level, and I asked this question: that what is it that HR can look differently, to do? And there is a set of questions that we asked to them. And one thing that came up is much of the effort to build this engagement, team bonding, and everything that we are currently doing is probably not yielding the kind of output that it should, because the society has changed, the business models have changed, the way we work, our workplace has changed, our education has also changed, the orientation of our education has also changed. So this entire team sport as a concept came up because people need to be more healthy, more engaged, and we realized that close to 76% of the people, I'm in the process of submitting my thesis, we realized they feel that there should be complete change of the way HR approaches people and how they should be made productive, because the context of HR has also changed. Today we have got, we need to know about law. He was talking about Abu Dhabi. I have worked in UAE, Singapore and other places. You need to know about the culture. You need to know about the regulatory process over there. You need to have an understanding of the behavioral processes. There are several Nobel Prizes that has been given now on behavioral economics, which is something a lot of people don't know about. So there is a very strong correlation, and this entire amalgamation of different subjects has created a completely different dynamics. So I think HR also should evolve and have this kind of discussions and debate across the table and kind of seek opinion. So with that, I'll ask that anybody wants to, we have 2 minutes, then we can have open the floor for questions.